I love the Mini PC. I don't know why, I just think they're super cool. And when I got an opportunity to pick up this one from Lenovo, I jumped at it because this is actually a pretty cool unit. And of course, as always, I'm going to see if we can game on it. Now, for those of you that don't know, this is a Lenovo ThinkCentre M900 and it is a mini PC. Generally, you find these in offices or schools, and sometimes people actually use them for like streaming apps and things like that. You don't tend to get people buying them for gaming though, purely because of the size of them and how cut down they are, and you don't really get any kind of thing like a graphics card in them, but I actually find them super cool. This unit in particular is not a great one at all. I didn't actually pick it up for the specifications inside. I picked it up for a different reason for that, but when it comes to the specifications inside of here, we do only have a 6th gen Intel processor. It is an i3, so it is the i3-6100T, and it's important about the T processors because they are low power, which means they are a little bit slower than the normal desktop units you get. We only have 8 GB of DDR4 RAM, and this one only came with a 250 GB SATA hard drive. Now that is actually okay because at least it is an SSD, but it's not great in size. But again, I didn't actually purchase it for the specs inside. There is something even cooler about these. These are actually quite upgradable and they're really easy to take apart as well. If we look at the front of the unit, we do have the USB that we need. We've got 2 USB 3s, a power switch. We've got the audio connections, so it's kind of like a normal I/O on a normal PC. And then on the back, we have numerous connections here. We have a power connection. It does use an external brick, so you don't have a built-in power supply, but that's okay. We have 2 DP connections because a unit like this can actually go up to multi-monitor, which is even cooler. We have another 4 USB 3 connections, as well as a network connection. And we also have a headphone jack on the back too, just in case you want to kind of hook something in like speakers or something, I suppose. This one doesn't actually come with Wi-Fi, but you can purchase them with Wi-Fi, and you can actually upgrade units like this. There are connections on the back where you can stick your little antennas and stuff like that if you can get hold of them. But like I say, I actually purchased this one because of its upgradability. As a unit, it is really easy to take apart. All you have to do is undo a single screw on the back and then just slide the top off. We just grab a screwdriver here and then just take this screw out. It is a thumb screw type of thing, but you can't really get your fingers on it, it's so thin. But all you need to do is simply take that out there and then just slide the top forward. And then when we look inside, you can see some real interesting things. As we can see inside this unit here, we can see that we've got our SSD on the top here. That's actually on a sliding bay. We can remove that by simply just removing another simple screw. Again, it is a thumb screw, so you could get away with using your thumb on that. You really don't need a screwdriver at all to take these apart. You slide that forward, and then we've got the SSD here. Underneath that SSD, we have a number of other components that we can upgrade. We do have an NVMe slot on here, so if you want even faster speed kind of storage, you can get away with that. You can just install a normal M.2 drive there. We also have the memory here, and it is removable. It is just like laptop memory. It is DDR4, and of course we've got 2 slots, so we can easily upgrade the memory on this by just adding another stick in. I'm not 100% sure what the maximum memory capacity is of this unit. I do believe it's around 32 GB, so if you can get it, you can fill the slots up with that. It does come with a small connection at the front here, which is obviously for your Wi-Fi antenna if you actually purchase one and put one in. Then the most important thing in here is of course the CPU. Underneath the cooling unit here, we do have a CPU, and what's important about that is that it uses a standard clamp down system. You can actually replace this CPU with another one, then you can go all the way up to an i7-6700T, and the rest of the unit will work perfectly fine. That would be a super cool upgrade for one of these, and something I will probably make going forward. But of course, this video is not about going through the hardware. It's actually a pretty cool unit, and for anybody that didn't know all of that information, it's really useful as well because it does give you the opportunity to do things like upgrades, and that is something that you should look out for when buying pretty much anything for PCs. Now, of course, we want to see if it's gaming, so I'm going to put this thing back together again. We'll hook it up onto the bench, and we'll see what kind of games we can play on it. Now, you guys are not going to be able to see this very well, but the unit is over here. They are so small that you can actually hide them pretty much anywhere. On some of these actual units, you can get brackets to mount them to the back of your monitor or TV, so they do make perfect streaming systems. But I actually do just like them as a normal PC. The nice little PC kind of just sits on the side there. And to be honest, you could just stack one on top of your normal gaming PC if you wanted to use it for something else. I'm not really quite sure what you would use it for. I've never actually found a real use for these. I like to just see if we can game on things, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. Even though it is just a 6th generation Intel processor, which are very dated now, internally it does have the HD 530 graphics. They're not great, so the games that we're going to try today are not going to be the most demanding out there, but they should be okay. There is absolutely no point trying your old Dooms on these because it's clearly going to play, or even something like Half-Life 1, because that is clearly going to play on this too. We've tested the internal graphics cards before, particularly iGPUs on similar CPUs, and those games work flawlessly. So instead we're going to aim a little bit higher, not too high, just a little bit higher than those. Some kind of classics that tend to have a bit of a cult following, so there's probably still people playing them now today. When we're actually inside Windows, even though it is relatively old and we've only got 8 GB of RAM, it is actually pretty nippy. I couldn't believe how quick this thing was. You do have a slight delay on certain things, but opening things up, there's a browser just instantly opens. File systems instantly open. It's actually a pretty cool little system, even if you're just going to use it for web browsing and watching YouTube videos. But of course, we want to play some games. Now, the first game we're going to try is a little bit old now, but it is kind of like a remake. This is not Tomb Raider, the remaster version. This is actually Tomb Raider Anniversary, which is kind of a remake of the original, and the remaster is a remake of the remaster. I'm not really sure how they kind of panned that one out, but I've actually played this one through and I found it much better than the original game. If you are into your real classic games, of course, you'll probably want to play it on the original PlayStation, but I found this version quite nice, even though it is a slightly demanding when it comes to these kind of iGPUs. To play this game, I've actually set it up into 720p, and unfortunately some of the games that we're going to have to test and try, and if you are going to get one of these and play games on it, you're going to have to play in 720p, but I don't think it really matters because the types of games you're playing are not really going to need that higher resolution. Now, the first thing that we will do is pop into the settings just to show you what's configured. I'm not exactly sure what settings are here. We do have a display settings here, so we've got full screen effects off. We've got a few things turned on here. We've got a bit of AA. Shadows are on, reflections are on, water effects are on, so it shouldn't be that bad of quality of picture. And if we go to display mode, we can see the resolution that we're in. We're currently running in 720p, but let's head back to the game and see what kind of FPS we get. We are at the initial point of the game here. I haven't actually played this through on this system, so unfortunately there isn't a save file for further on. But with VSync enabled, we are getting 60 FPS. That is a great experience from this game so far. We haven't had any dips, as we can see from our overlay in the corner. It is locked to that 60 FPS, and for most people, 60 FPS is going to be perfectly fine. If you bump this game up into 1080p, we may be able to get a 30 FPS experience, but I think that just takes away a little bit. It's not as smooth, and I'd prefer to play like this, to be honest. 720p is perfectly fine for me when it comes to some of these older titles. Now, as we can see, the game looks okay. It's playing okay. It's very super smooth because of that 60 FPS. I've never played this game with the keyboard and mouse, so I'm not sure what's going to happen or how we're going to get on playing it, but of course it's playing perfectly fine. You could play this game all the way through on these settings with this system, and it's going to work as exactly as you want it to. So that is the first game that we've tested. If you want to play something like Tomb Raider Anniversary on a little tiny system like this with integrated graphics, it'll work perfectly fine. You just got to drop that resolution to a 720p. So let's start the next game. Now, the next game is not going to come to any surprise to anyone because it is, of course, Half-Life 2. This will actually show what this system is capable of, because if we just head over into the settings, we can see what we've got configured. Going over to the video settings, we are running this game in 1080p. And if we go to advanced, we've pretty much got everything on a mixture of high or medium. We don't have any AA on for this game because I don't really think it needs it. So let's head back into game and see how well it performs. Now in the game, according to our overlay here, we are getting a constant 60 FPS. We've got a slight little dip there, which is probably why I don't want to push the graphics any further. But this is actually a smooth gameplay experience so far. We'll just head over here and this should create some enemies come in. So hopefully we will see if there's any drop downs here, but no, there's no drop downs so far. We are at a consistent 60 FPS. This is an absolute classic game for anybody that wants to play it, and if you haven't, why haven't you? You should definitely have played this game by now, but you can be glad to know that you can play it even on a little system like this. Again, this is a game that we have tested on iGPUs before. We actually did an entire series where we kind of tested this game against multiple different iGPUs and APUs, and to be honest, it's becoming less and less demanding as time goes on, but Considering this is an older CPU now with a very limited built-in iGPU, it's performing okay. We did get a little bit of stuttering there while some of the physics were actually going on, which was a little bit of a shock, but apart from that, and apart from the odd little quirks that you're going to get, you can pretty much play this game perfectly fine. We'll just run across here, we'll go down into here. We have got VSync enabled again, so this is why we're currently only getting 60 FPS. We've kind of limited it to that just to see what happens, but I wonder what will happen if we actually head to the settings and turn that off. We'll go to the video settings, go to advanced, we'll turn off the wait for vertical sync, and we'll see what the maximum the unit can get. Now heading back into game, we can see that the FPS has increased greatly. We're very much limiting this game here. It is now around 100 FPS, so you probably could actually bump up the graphics a little bit on this, particularly turning some of that AA on, and you would still get a 60 FPS experience. We'll just head around here, see what happens when the explosion happens. So we do get a slight dip here now and again when we do have some physics stuff going on. So it's probably better to lock this to a 60 FPS experience and just enjoy the game. It looks fantastic in 1080p, which of course is a resolution that didn't really kind of exist when this game came out. It was more, people were playing in a lot less than this when it came out, so just having it in 1080p alone actually makes the game look fantastic. If you're going to play Half-Life 2 on a little system like this, particularly with an iGPU as old as this, try and lock your VSync or something, or lock your frame rate down to 60, and you'll get a smooth gameplay experience. But that means we can play Half-Life 2 on this. Again, another cult following game where people will just want to play this even now, just after 20 years of being released. So let's try another game. Now the next game is probably another favorite of mine, something I like to play on very low spec machines because it doesn't take a lot to actually run it. It is a little bit more demanding than many people think, which is quite surprising considering the kind of graphical quality you've got here. But the game is the Telltale version of The Walking Dead. Absolutely love this game. When I first got it, I think it is a fantastic adventure for anybody that kind of is into that kind of genre and they really want to play something a little bit different than your normal shoot and kill kind of games, because it is a bit of a walk around and click and solve puzzles. But I think it's absolutely brilliant. If you haven't played it, definitely go check it out. But let's have a look at how well this performs. We are currently getting a performance of around 60 FPS, which seems to be quite locked, but let's head over to the settings and see what we've got configured. In the settings, we'll go to graphics and then we'll have a look. So we've currently got the graphics quality set to low, with everything else kind of like shadow quality is on high, texture quality is on high, and the resolution is 1080p. Now I'm going to leave it at these kind of settings because the way that the actual game is configured in terms of its kind of artistic styling, you don't really need high textures and things like that. The increase in resolution actually gives you a great quality picture, and because we're leaving the texture quality a little bit high, it kind of looks quite nice too. But let's have a wander around and see if we get any dips here. We are still getting a 60 FPS experience. Going in and out of the menu did kind of make things drop a little bit, but again, it is a pointy click game, so we got a slight dip there while it's playing this kind of video, and we're getting a little bit of stuttering while it's playing it a little bit more. But we'll head around here and we'll see what we can kind of get. Let's see if the game can expand up a little bit, because it is a very close net game here and it doesn't really have to render that much on the screen. But as we can see, the game works perfectly fine. It is one that I would play on this all day long. I could just sit this underneath the TV and play a game just like this. Telltale, a fantastic set of games, and they did even different kind of genres. They did one around Batman, things like that. So there we have it. Those are 3 games that you can easily play on a Lenovo M900 Mini PC. Any game that is kind of like this, that kind of meets their requirements, you're going to get away with, and some of them you will need to drop the resolution to that 720, but if you are only going out to buy just one of these and to play some cult classic type old school games, it's going to be perfectly fine. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this unit next. I do want to do a bit of an upgrade to it, so let me know in the comments below. What do you recommend? What should we do to it? Should we try and do an ultimate gaming upgrade on it, or should we just try and boost it a little bit by changing those internal components to see if we can get it any faster? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. We do have some more videos coming with other mini PCs that have actually been sent to us, so something much more newer than this. You won't want to miss that. And I'm sure, as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.